Part 1. Angels and Assassins, the Duality of Canada in the Great War. The trenches of the First World War echoed with tales of Canadian soldiers, fierce fighters, relentless in attack, unyielding in defense. Yet whispered alongside stories of their valor were darker accounts, murmurs of ruthlessness, of a brutal edge that blurred the line between soldier and executioner. This duality, the angel and the assassin, forms the heart of Canada's complicated legacy in the Great War. How did a nation known for peace establish such a fearsome reputation? And could those acts of barbarity truly be attributed to the men who fought with such unwavering courage for their nation? Part 2. Canada enters the fray, a young nation forged in fire. When war erupted in 1914, Canada, still a young nation finding its footing within the British Empire, was inexorably drawn into the conflict. Tens of thousands of young men, spurred by a sense of duty and adventure, enlisted, transforming sleepy farmsteads and bustling cities into somber farewell parades. These citizen soldiers, thrust into the cauldron of the Western Front, would soon earn a reputation that belied their nation's peaceful image. They would become shock troops, masters of offensive warfare, their name whispered with a mix of awe and terror in the German trenches. Part 3. The Devil's Mark, German Whispers of Canadian Ferocity. The Germans had a special term for the Canadians, Stormtroopers. It wasn't a compliment, it spoke of a ferocity, a willingness to take casualties that bordered on the fanatical. At Vimy Ridge in 1917, Canadian troops achieved what was considered impossible, capturing the heavily fortified ridge from the Germans in a display of tactical brilliance and raw courage. Later at Passchendaele, they again faced unimaginable conditions, relentless mud, machine gun fire and mustard gas. Yet they persevered, gaining a foothold in the quagmire where others had failed. These victories, hard-won and soaked in blood, cemented the Canadian reputation for ferocious effectiveness. Part 4. The Fog of War, Atrocities and Allegations on the Western Front. War is a crucible, and within its fiery depths, the lines between right and wrong, between soldier and savage, could blur. Stories emerged from the trenches, whispered accounts of Canadian soldiers executing prisoners, of taking no quarter, fueled by a potent cocktail of vengeance and battlefield trauma. One particular incident, the alleged massacre at McCrae Wood, where dozens of German soldiers were killed after surrendering, remains a dark stain on Canada's wartime record. While historians debate the veracity of such accounts, shrouded as they are in the fog of war and fueled by wartime propaganda, they cannot be easily dismissed. Part 5. For King and Country. Acts of valor and sacrifice etched in history. Yet to focus solely on the darkness is to tell an incomplete story. For every act of alleged barbarity, there were countless acts of selflessness and courage. Men like Private Thomas Dinesen, awarded the Victoria Cross for single-handedly capturing a German machine gun nest, embodied the best of the Canadian soldier, courageous, resourceful, and utterly dedicated to his comrades. Then there was Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae, a medical officer who bore witness to the horrors of war firsthand. His poem, In Flanders Fields, became an elegy for a generation lost, a poignant reminder of the human cost of conflict. Part 6. A legacy forged in blood and iron, remembering Canada's soldiers who gave their all, some their lives. A century removed, the legacy of the Canadian soldier in World War I remains a complex tapestry woven from threads of heroism and brutality. They were the 100 Days Men, instrumental in breaking the German lines and bringing the war to its agonizing end. But they were also products of their time, forged in the crucible of a new kind of warfare, one that tested the limits of human endurance and at times morality. To remember them solely as heroes is to sanitize the past. To condemn them outright is to ignore the unimaginable pressures they faced. Instead, we must strive to understand their experiences, to learn from their sacrifices, and to acknowledge the enduring impact of their service on Canada's national identity.